Before we start, a couple people I want to recognize. The mayor's here. Mayor Jeff Wagner's in the back. Director of Communications Rex Lindbergh is sitting right here in the middle. I want to recognize my command staff who helps me get things done every day, gets the department moving. My Assistant Chiefs, Kevin Wingerson, sitting right there. Assistant Chief Rick Styron, and Assistant Chief Jerry Wright in the back corner there. Some of my lieutenants here, the command staff, Lieutenant James Holt, John Dombrawa, Lieutenant Joey McGill, Susan Clifton is hiding somewhere back in the back, Lieutenant Tom Warnke, and Lieutenant Chris Murray. Thank you all for coming. It means a lot to me that you show up and support it. As Chief, I'll tell you one of the greatest things I get to do is recognize when our people go above and beyond, and that's what today is about, is two of our officers as well as a citizen that really went above and beyond in their duties, at least for the officers. And so one of the things that I think our department does very well is go above and beyond. And unfortunately, everybody doesn't get recognized because a lot of our guys don't do it for the recognition. They do it because it's the right thing to do. And so these are just two examples, at least on the officer side of things, that I was made aware of it, and so we can actually recognize them. One of the things, that we're going to see today is one of our officers went above and beyond for a citizen, and then another one went above and beyond an investigation to help catch some bad people. And so one of the things that I preach often in this department is really an equal balance of getting out there and catching bad guys and getting out there engaging the community and making positive impact day in and day out in our interactions with the community. And so some of these officers are going to get recognized for that today. I'm going to first start with the Community Impact Award, and I'm going to ask Officer Randall Logan, if you'll come up here and stand by me first, please. So Officer Logan's going to be receiving the Community Impact Award. This award is designed to honor and recognize members of the Pasadena Police Department for their contributions and volunteer service to improve the quality of life for the citizens of Pasadena. Any member may be nominated for this award when during the course of their duty they identify and resolve a significant quality of life issue for an individual or group of individuals in the city of Pasadena. Actions taken by a nominee to resolve the problem should be self-initiated and not required as part of their current assignment. Let me tell you a little bit about Officer Logan, and then I'll tell you why he's receiving the award. Officer Logan grew up in the small town of Brodus, Texas, near Lake Sam Rayburn. He graduated high school in 2000, shortly after joining the U.S. Marine Corps. After basic training, he served in the 2nd Marine Division, 3rd Battalion, 6th Marine Regiment, India Company from November 2000 to June of 2004. During his time in the Marines, he completed a tour in Afghanistan, a tour in Africa as part of the Anti-Terrorism Task Force, and a temporary duty assignment in the military police on Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. After returning to Texas, he worked for the Texas Medical Center as a security supervisor, coordinating events, daily assignments, and training of new employees. He spent 10 years working in private security, and then he joined the Pasadena Police Department. In his downtime, he enjoys fishing, playing basketball, and spending time with his family. Let me tell you a little bit about what Officer Logan did. On June 18, 2019, Officers Boynton and Logan responded to an ambulance call at 1610 Dabney here in Pasadena. The victim was an elderly female, and she had fallen out of her chair and she was unable to stand up on her own. After arriving on the scene and meeting the ambulance crew, they could see the elderly female laying on the floor, and she appeared to be in pain, but she couldn't get up and get to the door. Officers Boynton and Officers Logan made the determination that they were going to have to force entry into the back door of the house to get in to help her. And so they had to use a crowbar, and it was French double doors, and so they damaged the door and damaged the lock to get in and help her. Once they helped her, they got her medical care, got her taken care of. When they left, they were able to secure the door just with the lower handle on it, but they had damaged the deadbolt, so they were unable to lock it. Officer Logan told Officer Boynton he was going to go off duty and go to Walmart and buy a deadbolt and return to fix her door. That's exactly what he did. He got off, went to Walmart, bought a lock, and he went back. And at 7 o'clock, he called Officer Boynton. He went to Miss Morris's residence with the tools and parts, and he repaired the lock all on his own time, all at his own cost. This action, without doubt, shows the commitment that Officer Logan has for the community. One thing that he said was this elderly lady reminded him of his own grandmother, and that's what he'd want done for her. So that's pretty cool. So that's what he's receiving the award for, and congratulations.
Not really, but a lot of guys do a lot of stuff like I did, and it's, I appreciate the recognition. Thank you, Officer Boynton, for writing the letter. We do this day in and day out, and it's just good to have a positive impact on the community.
Officer Turpin. So Officer Turpin's receiving the Outstanding Performance Award. This award is given to employees, sworn or civilian, who display a high degree of initiative and professionalism in the performance of their duties. Officer Chase Turpin was born in Houston and raised in Pasadena all his life. He graduated from Deer Park High School in 2012. Make me feel old. After graduating high school, he attended San Jac for 1 year before deciding he couldn't sit at a desk any longer, and he joined the Marine Corps in August of 2013 and later separated with an honorable discharge. Officer Turpin began his law enforcement career with the Harris County Sheriff's Office in September of 2017, where he worked as a detention officer, and then he got smart and he came to the Pasadena Police Department in February of 2018. He graduated the academy on August 17th and was awarded the Top Physical Fitness Award. After graduating the field training program, he's assigned to Evening Shift Patrol, where he's currently assigned. He loves being a police officer and enjoying every day of it. He's not married, nor does he have any children. However, he's blessed with his parents, brother, and sister. I feel like I'm advertising for you. Just saying. His father's been a police officer for 40 years, and both of his uncles either are or were Pasadena police officers, and his mother's been a teacher for over 20 years. So let me tell you a little bit about what Officer Turpin did. On February 24, 2019, Detective Anderson from the Auto Crimes Unit received a call from Officer Turpin, who was working a theft case at the Coles on Fairmont. Officer Turpin had arrested a suspect for theft and for being in possession of a controlled substance, but during the search of the suspect vehicle, he located several fictitious paper tags. The vehicle in question was a 2014 Mercedes-Benz, later found to be valued at $46,000, which would probably be a clue if they're committing shoplifting and driving a $46,000 car. Officer Turpin had already asked the suspect numerous questions regarding the ownership, license tags, and insurance on the vehicle, and he also ran the vehicle by the vehicle identification number, and he knew some of the answers to the questions that he was asking, and they didn't match up. So he called Detective Anderson in auto theft and had all the pertinent information, and his instincts led him to believe that something just didn't add up with this case, and he ended up being right. He towed the vehicle, charged the suspect with possession of controlled substance. His report was completed, and it was passed off to detectives for follow-up. The vehicle in question was found to be purchased in an online fraudulent scam. The vehicle had been driven by the suspect for several months, and the suspect had been stopped on traffic several times. The vehicle had actually been towed, not by this agency, but by others, and was always released back to the suspect. The vehicle and a 2015 BMW worth $42,000 were recovered because of this case. Stolen property out of San Antonio, valued at about $19,000, has been linked to the suspect and charges are pending. Numerous other cases and fraudulent activity have been uncovered that stretches over several states and involves multiple suspects. All this due to the fact that Officer Turpin took a few extra minutes to ask a few more questions. He listened to his intuitions and did not just go through the motions. Officer Turpin's extra effort impacted not only our community, but impacted communities throughout this state and more. It's due to these actions that he's receiving the Outstanding Performance Award. Congratulations. Would you like to say anything?
I will. Okay, so first of all, my parents and both sides of my grandparents are here, so I owe everything that I have ever had to all of them, so I appreciate them being here as well. Second of all, like Officer Logan was saying, none of this is done by ourselves. We don't, go out there and work every call by ourselves. So I wanted to give recognition to the guys that are out there with me, as Sergeant Lebzinski, Officer Brian Mitchell, Officer Philip Warner, and then Detective Anderson afterwards. So just wanted to give credit to them for this as well. I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
So the last award, I'm asked Mr. Matthew Heiner, if you come up here for me, please, and Lieutenant Joey McGill. Many of you know the story already. One of the, this is actually the first time that I've seen this done, at least in a long time here, that we've been able to recognize a citizen that's really gone above and beyond, and in my opinion, probably saved Joey's life that day. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what happened, and then tell you how we got here today. And one of the things that, Joey had told me early on was he wanted to recognize Mr. Heinrich, but he said, I don't want to do it till I can come back. And I said, okay. And so that's why it took so long, but here we are. On April 24, 2019, about 12:45, Lieutenant McGill had eaten lunch at a restaurant in the 7100 block of Spencer. And kind of for background information, one of the things that we've noticed here is that we've had a problem with homelessness here, just like other communities have. And so we had just met a couple days before. Talking about what we were going to do about the homeless problem here in Pasadena. And one of the things we had talked about doing was trying to at least identify and get a handle on how many we had, and then figure out what we could do, if anything, to help some of them that were out there. And so Joey was actually in that meeting in my office, a couple days before this happened. And so when Joey had walked into the restaurant, he saw an individual sitting outside that appeared to be homeless. And so when Joey finished eating lunch, he came outside and was going to contact the subject to try to identify him and figure out, what his story was and if there was anything that we could do to help him. So Joey contacts him, and they engage in a consensual conversation. And the subject was in possession of a backpack. As Joey was talking to the person, trying to get information from him, he started to get more agitated. And he started to reach into the backpack. And so at that point, Joey knew for officer safety reasons he couldn't let this person continue just to dig through the backpack. And so Joey went to get the backpack from him, and there ended up being a brief struggle over the backpack, at which point Joey was pulled off balance. And the subject ended up striking Joey once in the face, knocking him unconscious, and he fell to the ground. Didn't end there. The subject got on top of Joey and continued to beat him about the face and the head with closed fist. Joey was bleeding profusely from the face. His vision was distorted. He was in real trouble. Mr. Matthew Heinrich was in the parking lot, or in the area of the parking lot, and saw what had happened. And he later would tell the officers that he thought that, if he didn't do something, that, Joey was either going to be more seriously injured than he already was, or killed. And so, disregarding his own safety, he decided he was going to assist Lieutenant McGill. He started by asking the person to, or telling him to stop the assault, which didn't work. So he physically intervened by delivering strikes to the suspect to get him off of Joey. That didn't work either. Mr. Heinrich backed up, basically took a running start at the suspect and ran into him to get him off of Joey. Finally, the subject got off of Joey and took off on foot, but the story doesn't end there. Mr. Heinrich called 911, remained on the line with the police, and were able to coordinate the response of the responding officers. They were able to get there and take the suspect into custody. I will tell you that, this is extreme valor, extreme bravery. One of the things you see, unfortunately, you turn on the news, and a lot of these cases, what do you see? People with their cell phones standing there taking video instead of getting involved. And that's not what happened in this case. Not only did he not just call 911, did he not, he didn't stand there with his video camera, he got involved. And I know his wife's here somewhere, and she probably, in hindsight, wasn't very happy that he got involved. But I will tell you, this entire department is grateful, that you got involved. And so, thank you very much. Since we've never done this before, we had to come up with our own award. And so some of the folks in my office ended up putting this together, and they got a police badge, and they encased it in acrylic, and it says, "In appreciation for your unselfish act of aiding a police officer, the Pasadena Police Department would like to formally thank you for your actions on April 24th, 2019. The courage you displayed as a citizen on that day will not be forgotten."
I guess didn't expect to be saying much, but really just right place at the right time. Glad I was there and able to assist Lieutenant. That's really all I have.
My name is Joe McGill, and I'm standing here today before you because of the actions of one of the award recipients we're recognizing today. I won't go into much detail as to what happened on that day in April, as there is still a court case pending, but I do want to tell you some things about what happened that day. I was savagely and viciously beaten. I don't to this day know why the suspect did what he did, but I do know something about the actions of Matthew Heinrich. I was beaten so badly that day, my lower lip was split almost down to my chin. I fractured a tooth. My nose was broken. I needed over 20 stitches to my face, and the orbital bone around my right eye was fractured in 2 places. I'll have vision problems in my right eye for the rest of my life due to my injuries that day, but I am still here because of Matt's actions. Due to my injuries at the scene, I was blinded in both eyes, due to the trauma to my right eye and the flowing blood in my left eye. There was a lot of blood loss, and make no mistake, I was covered in blood. The amount of blood is important because of what I'm going to tell you later. After I was released from the hospital, and while I was recovering from my injuries at home, my wife tracked down Matt Heinrich, and I was able to speak with him and thank him over the telephone. While we were talking, Matt told me about what he saw and did that day. Matt told me that he saw the suspect on top of me swinging wildly with both arms and striking me repeatedly. He saw the tremendous amount of blood, and he believed that the individual on top of me had a knife and that I was being stabbed to death. Now understand this. Here's someone who believes that an armed suspect is stabbing a police officer with a knife. There's blood everywhere, and yet he didn't turn his back on what he was seeing. He doesn't turn on his cell phone and film what's happening. Instead, without regard for his own personal safety, he decides to take action. He runs towards the suspect and at first attempts to choke the suspect out by wrapping his arms around the neck of the suspect from behind. When that doesn't work and the suspect continues to beat me, Matt backs up and runs at the suspect, knocking him off of me, allowing me to get to my feet disoriented. Matt's actions don't stop there. He then gets on his cell phone, calls 911, and follows the suspect as he flees on foot, directing and allowing officers to take the suspect into custody. I feel that Matt's actions that day are the very definition of bravery. I want to take this opportunity to personally thank Matt Heinrich. On behalf of my family and myself, I want to thank him for his bravery and his selfless actions on that day, because without him, I would not be standing here before you.
Congratulations to all 3 of you. It's great work, and again, this is indicative of the great work that goes on here every day. I want to thank everybody for coming out here today. There's cake, there's punch over here. Stick around, visit. I know there's a lot of people in here that want to tell you thank you. So, but again, thank you all for coming, and have a great day.